QuoteSoft Duct 4.0 Catalog and Accessory Item Creation. First, we must open the Central Data window. We're going to be focusing on the catalog level of the navigation tree. To get started, we must first understand what you can set up in the catalog. There are 4 levels to catalog item creation. You start off at the top level with a catalog, such as air devices, dampers, equipment, and then within the catalog you create categories, such as air conditioning equipment, fan coil units, and fans. Within the categories you create groups, such as belt drive, ceiling exhaust fans, and direct drive. Then within the group, you create a list of items. Those items can be broken up by dimensions, such as diameter, height plus width, or you can have them separated just by item name. To begin, let's create an example catalog so that we can better understand the levels of the catalog. To start, I'm going to go ahead and minimize all the catalogs that are currently there and click the button at the top to create a new catalog. We will call this example catalog. The category code I'll enter will be EC for example catalog. I'll now set an image. I want to set all of the images to the same: the large takeoff image, the stamp image that appears on the pan file, as well as the button image for bookmarks. Going to click the Set All button. Go into my example catalog and I'll select Catalog icon. This image has now been set for this example catalog. When you hit Save Changes, that catalog will be created and selected for you. Next is to create a category. Click the New Category button at the top and type in a name for the category. Put in a code, and we can decide to update the picture at this time if we wish. Otherwise, it'll inherit the picture from the catalog. Let's go ahead and change it. Set All, and choose Arrows. Save Changes. We now have a category inside of our catalog. Next step is to create a group. Click the New Group button at the top and type in a name. At this point, you can see the images were inherited from the category, not from the catalog. We can modify these if we so choose. I'm going to click Set All and select Lines. Next, we must decide the options for this catalog group. Does this item have openings? Is it something like an adjustable elbow or a fan, where we want to dictate that this item has rectangular dimensions involved, or round dimensions involved, or both? Maybe a square to round would have rectangular on one end, round on the other. The program would allow you to set this item up. For our particular instance here, we're going to say it has no openings. Units. Your options are each, linear foot, and square foot. Let's leave it at each. What other options do we want to include with this group? Fab labor, install labor, other labor, item cost, or item cost adjust. Let's include install labor and item cost. Do we want to store the square foot of this item? Does this item have a standard length? Is there weight involved? Let's include the weight. Listed below are components that you can apply from your setup. Is this item going to get wrapped, have a hanger, have a joint, have sealant? In this particular example, no, it will not. So we are done on this screen. We click Save Changes. Now you can see the group has been created for you and we have an item list ready for us to input our first item. Click the New Item button and your screen will come up ready for you to type in. We put in our code and we put in our weight. Weight for this item, we'll say 1 pound. Item cost, $10. Installation labor, 15 minutes. Do we want to change the image for this item? No, I'll let it inherit it from the group. Save changes. We now have an item available in our item list. It's ready for takeoff. Let's create the next item. I'm going to hit duplicate item and modify the descriptions so that we can have our second item available to us. This item weighs 1.1 pounds. The cost is $12. The installation time is a half hour. Save changes. We now have 2 items. Creating items within the catalog structure is a very simple, easy process. As long as you understand that you start with a catalog, you then create categories, you then create groups, and you then create your items within that group. And now lastly, let's look at using Group Export to add items quicker. Click the Group Export button and you'll see that Excel will open with all of the information about your individual items. I'm going to expand the name column so that I can see the full name, and you can continue putting this information in using the shortcuts that are built into Excel. Say, for example, that it equally goes up for all of these values. Every item, as it gets larger, gets an additional 15 minutes of installation time, and the item cost also goes up. So we've quickly set up a handful more items, and we want to get them back into the program. Close the Excel sheet, and it'll ask you, do you want to save your changes? Hit save. Now do a group import and select the file that you just created. And those items are imported in for you. We now have a handful of items that are available within our group that are ready for takeoff. Next up, let's duplicate this group and add a dimension to it. Simply right-click the example group and tell it you would like to duplicate it, or you can use the duplicate button up at the top. After doing so, you'll have to enter in a new name. So we'll call this example group circle. Example group circle will be our code as well. Now what we want to do is add an opening to it. And the shape type will be round. So now we can add dimensions to this item. We're going to leave all of the options the same, and we're going to change the image for this group. Let's set all. Example catalog, and we'll select circle. Now we can hit save changes. So now we have the same list of items, but it has a diameter column available to it. So again, let's export the group, and let's fill in our diameter column. Close and save the sheet, and import it in. And now we have our diameters available to us. So we've duplicated the group, added a diameter to it. We could have updated the material price or the installation labor while we were in Excel as well. Let's go one further. Let's duplicate this group and add a linear foot to it so that we can use it for scale takeoff. Right-click, duplicate the group. We're going to leave the opening at 1, the shape to round. We're going to change the unit to linear foot. I'll modify the description so that we know this one is different. And it automatically checks the standard length box as soon as you change it to linear foot. It's going to require us to set one up. Save changes. So now you can see we have a standard length field that has been added for us. Again, we're going to use group export, and now we can fill in the standard length. Say it's 5 foot of pipe. The dimensions are inches, so we're going to enter 60. Fill it down from the top to the bottom, from the first item to the last item. Close and save, and do a group import. We now have items that are available to be used in takeoff screen that we can scale, and they'll have a 5 foot standard length. Hopefully with using these 3 examples, you'll be able to better understand how to customize your catalog for your takeoff purposes. Now that we have the 3 new groups set up in our catalog, let's see how they look in takeoff. Once you're in takeoff, go down to your example catalog, your example category, and select your example group. I'll then choose example item number 1. When I select this item and place it on the plan file, we'll see that it actually drops that symbol that we set for the item. The color is being transferred through to the transparent area. Example item number 2 and 3. You can see that they'll appear the same. If you look at your audit trail, you can see that you have your different item names and descriptions available. Let's go to the example group circle and pick a diameter. We'll start off by using 8-inch diameter, and I'll place this item. Now if you look at the audit trail, you can see example item 2 has 8-inch diameter. If I select the first item and place it, it is the 6-inch diameter. The next group that we created was the diameter group, circle group, but now it's a scalable item. So we'll select example group circle and select a diameter, and you'll notice that my mouse cursor is different. It's the scaling cursor. Click the beginning point and move your mouse across and click. And now it shows you that you have 8-inch diameter, 13 feet. So by using these 3 examples of catalog items, you should be able to set up anything that you require in order to do your takeoff process.